So let's start a brand new thing. This is Pull or Pass. Welcome to Pull or Pass, your weekly geeky comic book show. I'm Mark, and alongside me is Zach. Hello, Zach.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Welcome to Pull or Pass. This is issue 0. I like the idea of it being issue 0.
Sounds good. Like this is the origin story. People come back and dig this out years later.
What kind of our origin story was you guesting on Geek of the Week a couple of months back now? And I had lots of fun. And when Fraser abandoned me, did I mention Fraser abandoned me?
It's come up.
It has. I didn't want to stop doing a weekly comic book show, so I was like, Zach, do you want to do a weekly comic book show?
And here we are.
We are. So Pull or Pass is essentially, it's going to be an hour. Yeah, it's going to be an hour. It's every Saturday morning, 11 o'clock on Fab Radio, and then on Sunday we'll be putting it on Listen Again. And we basically just have a little bit of a chat. And then we get on with the full meat of the show, which is looking at this week's comic books. But I want to quickly talk about, well, Joker's out next week, and I'm very, very excited about it, and I want to go and see it. Are you excited for Joker? Have you seen the reviews, and what do you think?
I've seen a lot of positive reviews, which is nice. I don't know, I have weird feelings about it. Maybe I'm excited.
I'm really excited. It looks bloody brilliant.
Yeah, it looks good, but I feel like it's not entirely a comic book film.
Does that matter?
No, but it looks like it's a Scorsese film that incidentally has the Joker in it.
That's made me want it even more.
Yeah, okay. All right, I can see that from you. I know there's been some mixed responses from people online kind of anticipating it, so...
Well, it's out next week, so...
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see who's right.
We will.
Cynical Zach or giddy Mark. Goodness me. I'm not sure this is the way the show should be starting, because I'm really cynical usually.
Maybe episode 0 shouldn't be something the world has.
Maybe. What else have you seen this week in our beautiful comic book world? Have you seen anything interesting?
Not a great deal. It's been pretty
Slow
quiet news
right?
week. It's an announcement that after Tom King finishes his Batman run, it's going to be taken over by James Tynion IV.
That is a good name.
And Tony S. Daniel, who's done kind of bits of Batman on and off.
That's a fine name, but it's not like somebody the fourth.
Not got a number at the end. The number matters. So they're both experienced with Batman. James Tynion IV.
Good name.
Has done Detective Comics since Rebirth. So they both previously have worked on Batman, which is cool. I don't know how it's going to follow on from Tom King, but I know Tom King's run's been pretty divisive. Some people love it and some people hate it. So it's the Marmite of Batman runs. It's Batmite.
Marmite of Batman?
Oh, no, Batmite's a real thing. God damn it.
Batmite?
Batmite, yeah.
What's that?
Little fifth dimensional Batman, like Mr. Mixterplix.
Mr. What now?
You know, Superman villain who's got the name that can't be pronounced. Mixterplix, Mike's.
I'm not good with DC.
Little guy, little cartoon guy, white hair, little bowler hat, just messes with Superman. Batmite's like a Batman equivalent, but he just really likes Batman.
Okay.
This is a tangent, isn't it?
But always. Why wouldn't we want tangents?
True. Love a good tangent.
I'll tell you what else I spotted that I genuinely liked it. On the Marvel Entertainment YouTube, there's a weird kind of sort of motion comic thing.
Okay.
It's like a preview or a prequel or a extra little bit to Absolute Carnage, and it's called BreakOut.
Okay.
It's like a 5-minute animated thing where a cop chats to Norman Osborn, who thinks he's Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah, after the end of Dan Slott's Red Goblin run.
And it's just a nice little animated thing. It's somewhere between like an old school animation like, I don't know, X-Men or something, and a motion comic. And it's just a nice little thing. It's 5 minutes. It's worth looking up.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Absolute Carnage. I've kind of decided to save myself for the trade because I've been buying Venom in trade.
Right.
I have read most of the Venom run, but it's real good. Really, really good.
And have a little looky at the little video.
Yeah,
well,
I definitely will. That sounds cool. The only other thing I had for news is something that only I'm really going to care about, I imagine.
Is it something to do with Valiant?
Yeah.
You do like your Valiant?
I do like Valiant. I like Valiant a lot. And it's that this week they've put up a kind of single panel of a Quantum and Woody teaser that just says, we're going to be superheroes again, Quantum. So there's going to be a new Quantum and Woody series in 2020. I'm excited.
I know you like your Quantum
I'm sure
Woody.
dozens of other Valiant fans are excited too.
Well, you know, I do like Quantum Woody. Talking about Quantum and Woody, that is a good time for a plug, Zach.
Yeah, isn't it just? Incidentally, this coming Tuesday at Fab Cafe. No, not at Fab Cafe. At Retro Bar.
Retro Bar. We like Fab Cafe,
we
but it's
do
a
like
bit loud
Fab.
for a book group.
It is. So Retro Bar, Tuesday, we'll be hosting in Manchester Comic Book Club for 2017's Quantum and Woody.
Yeah, come and join us. What time does it start? 7?
It starts at 7, yeah.
7, Retro Bar. We read a book. We talk about a book. It's like a book club.
Yeah, that's what you might call it.
It is a book club, but it's with comics.
Yeah, the best kind of book.
Yeah, come and say hello.
I know I will.
Well, yeah, it's your book club. This is Pull or Pass.
This is Pull or Pass.
And very quickly, going to explain the concept of Pull or Pass. We have pulls. And if people don't know what a pull is, it is a casual subscription service at your local comic book shop. If you buy a comic book that is a number 1 or whatever, and you take it to the counter, the clerk or the shop assistant, whatever you want to call them, they will ask you if you want to put it on your pull. Your pull is essentially, they keep back each issue of the comics that you add to your pull so that you can collect them when it's more convenient to you. And that's basically all comic shops do that. And so what we do with Pull or Pass is we read 2 new comic books, we have a little bit of a chat about them, and then we decide whether or not we're going to add them to our pull or whether or not we're going to pass on them. If we'd been better prepared, I'd have actually suggested to Zach that we tell everyone what our current pulls are, but I didn't think to do it until we were on the air.
Next week.
Yeah, we'll do that next week. Issue 1. That'll be part of issue 1. This is like issue 0. It's just like a taste.
It's a secret one. No one knows this is coming yet.
They don't. But no, normally we're going to do 3 books.
Yeah.
But this week we picked 2 really meaty comic books.
Yeah, we did.
Later on we're going to be talking about 2000 AD, issue 2150. But first up, this one was your choice, Zach.
Yeah. Harleen. So Harleen is kind of a origin of one Harley Quinn.
Like a new origin, though, isn't it?
A new origin. It's clearly taken in...
Reimagining.
Yeah, taking in now, you imagine the animated series and the New 52 origins and just smushing them together, adding some new things. Kind of a darker retelling. It's DC Black Label, which they're dark and gritty for adults.
And I wanted to talk about Black Label because they kind of usurped my beloved Vertigo. And I really wanted to dislike this book, but spoilers, I did not dislike this book.
I think Black Label's a weird one because although it feels like it is kind of happening in place of Vertigo, or this in Young Animal are kind of taking Vertigo's place, it feels like Black Label is also kind of... It's doing a lot of Batman books. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, there's been a lot of adult Batman stuff already, hasn't there? I mean, Killing Joke is savage, and it feels like Batman fits nicely in the Black Label vibe.
Especially for all these little non-canon
Yeah, I mean,
bites.
My mum and dad think that all Batman is Burt Ward and the other guy. Burt Ward was Robin. Who was the other guy? He played
Adam
60s.
West.
Adam West and Burt Ward. And if you're in your 60s, that's probably what you think of as Batman. But for me, Batman is dark. Batman is nasty. Batman is adult. And so this was very much down my Batman street.
I can see that. Yeah, coming up from the comics you've read.
Mm.
And I can see that Batman being you.
How pretty was this book?
Really, really pretty.
Oh my!
So it's written and I was going to say directed by, but no, it's written and drawn by Stefan Sayek. I think is the pronunciation.
Okay.
It's not a name I'm good with. There's a lot of letters going on. But he did Sunstone, and he's done some different fantasy books for Image over the years. So I was kind of looking forward to this because he is a really, really good artist.
Mm. Yeah, he absolutely is. The art blew me away in this book. But it's oversized, and it's got a lush kind of like posh front cover, and it's obviously they're taking it. For me, they're clearly taking it serious. This is Black Label. This is what we're doing now. This is a big deal. They've made a big deal of it.
Yeah, it looks like a good finished product. The size is kind of European comic size.
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
right.
Oversized. I can't think what the term is. Oversized.
2000 AD sized?
Some might say, yes.
We're talking 2000 AD later.
We are. It all ties together, doesn't it?
Not deliberately. You just picked a book and I picked a book.
That happens to both be oversized. But yeah, art's really nice. My only complaint with the art would be that there are times when his characters kind of look like characters from his other books, which I suppose is the downside of he makes everyone really, really pretty,
Yeah, the Joker is hot. And I'm like, the Joker shouldn't be hot. Oh, wait, should the Joker be hot? Because she's fallen in love with him? And I'm confused about the Joker being hot because I've never, ever thought of the Joker as hot. And there's one panel where he's got this kind of like... very kind of sensual smile. If this wasn't a family show, I'd say it's another term to describe a similar vibe. But I'm like, wow, Joker's hot. And I wasn't ready for a hot Joker.
I don't know if anyone will be ready for a hot Joker. But it's good to know that's your thing now.
Well, clearly.
But yeah, ridiculously pretty characters throughout.
Yes, that's true.
Killer Croc included.
I know, Killer Croc wasn't as killery.
Despite, all the chains and Hannibal Lecter mask. Still a real looker.
There were some very, very nice panels of the art telling a story without words in this book.
Yeah.
There was like 2 or 3 instances, and I was like, oh, this is really good. Not using words, but still getting the message across was great.
Which I guess is something Stefan Sayek did a lot in Sunstone. There's a lot of kind of just visual panels and doing different interesting panel layouts. So playing to his strengths, and it really works. And
I'm a sucker for a full page spread. And in this kind of size as well, there's one particular instance of a serious level of full-page spread pornography. I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's a really nice one-page spread.
Are we talking the Batman Joker fight page?
Scene?
Yeah. Okay,
it was out of this world. It was like something you just put on your wall. It was brilliant.
Yeah, fair. It's a good page.
I also want to talk about the writing. I felt like there was some superb, snappy lines, but I also felt like there was quite a lot of believable dialogue as well. Like her name being mispronounced because she's got an odd name.
You think Quinzel isn't a go-to name?
Well, no.
Quinzel?
Exactly. Do you know? You don't even know how to pronounce it. And I like how they played with that. And I just felt that I liked the relationship of Chandra and Harleen. How one of them was a cynic and one of them was an optimist. I really liked it. I really liked the. It felt more real than some comic books sometimes are.
Yeah, again, not to keep going back to the same well, but I think the experience he brings from writing Sunstone beforehand, which is all about relationships, kind of ties into this. Obviously, he's got that knowledge to draw from because he's already been doing it for a while. I think that's an interesting thing as well. with it being a Harley Quinn origin, I was curious about where the series was going to go, and obviously we know Harley and Joker ends up as a pretty abusive relationship.
Indeed.
So I was curious how they were going to play towards that, but obviously with this being set so far before, it's kind of just focused on the relationship as it was.
It's quite romantic, which maybe
feels weird.
It does feel weird, but even abusive relationships start nice.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's almost creepy. I wouldn't call it a cliffhanger at the end because everybody knows what happens.
We know where it's going to go.
But it sent a shiver down my spine. And the cheeky Two-Face origin that they threw in was great as well.
It was nice to see different characters, obviously, before the point we see them at normally.
Yeah. And the point where they met each other and he put a gun in her face and there was panels around the image of him putting the gun in her face. It was...
Yeah.
That was... I went into this expecting a bit of DC, this. Because I'm not... I'm not shy about saying how I'm not that into DC. But I am big kind of into DC. Good DC.
I've always had a weird relationship with DC. When I first got into comics, I was really heavily into DC. And then New 52 felt a little bit like they were kind of pushing against existing readers. Which I'm sure Fraser touched upon in some episodes.
I'm sure at some point. I kind of switched off when he talked about DC.
So I guess, this is... Rebirth's been really good. Black Label has had some mixed things. I know
and that's where I like
Damned
DC.
Issue was...
It's the dark stuff. It's Killing Joke. It's Vertigo. It's Arkham Asylum. It's Batman. Thinking about it.
Well, that was something that I wanted to touch upon as well, is that obviously heading into October, we've got the Joker, as you mentioned, and obviously they've launched Harleen, which does feature the Joker quite a lot. Black Label's got the second part of White Knight coming out. Jeff Lemire's got a Joker series starting called Killer Smile. So there's a lot of Joker and a lot of Batman. And obviously now is the right time for them to try it.
It's almost like they're milking a cash cow, Zach.
I mean, you could say that if you were quite cynical about it.
See, I've got back to being cynical. This is much more like me.
You can't blame them. Obviously, the film's got rave critical reviews, so they're going to go, all the Joker, all the Joker tie-ins, all the Batman Joker. And
I don't hate DC. I've never hated DC. I've just enjoyed... I like indies more than I like Marvel these days as well. I just like self-contained worlds rather than a complex world that I can't get my head around because I'm not super invested into it like the DC universe, you know?
I think that's the benefit of something like this. Although it is DC, it does feel more like an indie book, and it gives Harley a chance to stand on her own as a character, which...
That's probably why I liked it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to not feel stuck in the DC universe, and I know particularly... Throughout my reading of DC, Marvel, whatever, I can get hung up on continuity quite easily, and being kind of free of that, it's kind of nice. And a good retelling of an origin can be good.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I like this.
So, Zach, Harleen, pull or pass?
I'm going to go pull.
You see...
It feels weird.
Now I know you've gone pull.
You want to go pass?
Well, no, I want to go pull. But it is a very expensive book. Maybe I'll just read yours. And that's the cynic in me. But no, it's a pull for me. Because it was a pleasant surprise and it blew me away. But I might read yours.
Well, I suppose that's fair. You know, pull, pass, borrow, trade.
Oh, let's not get all... Oh, do you know, I don't...
It's not a snappy name if we have 4 options.
No, it's not. They're probably going to be the options, aren't they?
There's going to be books we're going to read, and I think, there's going to be some that you want to borrow off me, I want to borrow off you, and some that we want to buy the trades of. Which apparently the trade for this is out in like 2 months' time, so... So
it's a 3-issue limited series, and then straight after they're releasing the trade?
I did not know it was 3-issue limited, but...
I think it's 3-issue limited, yeah.
I assumed it was going to be pretty brief, obviously, if you're telling an origin.
Yeah.
You've only got so long to do that origin in.
True.
Before, you're dressed as a clown holding people at gunpoint.
Quite.
Indeed.
Should we move on to 2000 AD?
Yeah, let's do it. 2000 AD, 2150.
2150. It's we picked this particular issue of 2000 AD because it's an explicit jumping on issue of the book. They do this once or twice a year where all the stories are finished and all the stories that are in that issue, they start at number 1 or part 1 of that story.
And they use the word prog a lot.
It's what?
They use the word prog a lot.
They do use the word prog. It just means comic, doesn't it? Or issue.
Presumably. Progressive.
So, is this prog zero? This is prog zero of Full of Pass.
It's going to be a hard sell to the general public.
Maybe. But this is a bumper issue with a lot more pages than usual. It's usually $2.99 a week. This was a $5.
Yeah.
And I threw my dummy out the pram. I was like, $5 until I saw that
I'd bought Harleen and
Harleen
was like a $5 as well.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
It's been an expensive week here on Pull Up Pass.
It has. But as of next week, we're sponsored by Travelling Man.
We are.
They are lovely. They used to sponsor Geek of the Week, but now they sponsor Pull Up Pass. And they help us out by providing us with the comic books that we want. And we love Travelling Man. They are good people. And they're your local comic book shop in York, Leeds, Newcastle, and Manchester. I'm probably biased, but Manchester's probably the best one because they're the one that we go to.
I've had a running joke for many years that there is no shop in Newcastle because it's the only one I've never been to and never even been close to. So I have my doubts.
I've never been to Newcastle. I don't have any desire to go to Newcastle.
Maybe we'll do a, Pull Up Pass road trip and we'll go hit up Newcastle, see what it's like.
No, we'll just go to Manchester.
Never mind.
But yeah, check out your local Travelling Man. They are brilliant people. If you want a pull, they are the perfect people to have your pull at.
There's a lot of P's in that sentence.
Precisely. I had to think of a word that agreed with you that began with a P. That was quite quick, I thought. Should we talk about British comics?
We can try.
We are British after all, and we're reading. And I am conscious that it's going to be mostly American, so I would like to put some British stuff on this show occasionally. But it's hard. There's 2000 AD and there's 2000 AD.
I know there's a company in London called Comic House like HAUS, German like. They do a similar thing to 2000 AD, but obviously theirs come out much more sporadically because it's an independent thing.
We could read The Phoenix, but
we could read Phoenix.
That is for children.
I'm not above that.
Although Bunny versus Monkey is magnificent.
I always hear a lot of good things about the various Phoenix.
Get on Bunny versus Monkey is wonderful.
Good words. Maybe one day when they have the next jumping on point with all the new progs.
I'm not sure that's how it works with the Phoenix.
Only one way to find out, Mark.
Well, 2000 AD is a book where I've never really bought 2000 AD, but I've bought a lot of trades. I like Judge Dredd. I like the Judge Dredd world. And I've found that the trades that I've read that are kind of standalone, I've really enjoyed. Flesh was great. And Fiends of the Eastern Front was sublime. And I've dabbled with Judge Anderson as well. And Judge Death was the coolest thing in the playground for at least a week when I was at school at one point. So I'm very fond of 2000 AD. I've got a lot of Judge Dredd, but I've never actually really bought the 2000 AD weekly magazine. With the exception of 2 or 3 jump-ons ago, I bought one. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get on with it. And I was gutted because I really, really wanted to. And so I'm a little bit cautious because, again, the opposite to Harleen, I wanted to dislike it and loved it.
Yeah.
And this, I want to like it, but I was worried that I wasn't going to like it.
Okay.
Do you want to quickly go through the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 8 stories that they had one by one?
Yeah.
But super quick.
Super quick.
Super quick. Okay, the first one was Judge Dredd.
Guatemala.
Called Guatemala, that's right. And I loved how this is a jump-on issue that is explicitly designed to bring back old readers or
crack open some new ones.
Yeah, get new readers involved. And I thought that they did really well with the Judge Dredd story. They gave you a shocking moment for your long-term Judge Dredd readers who might be coming back, but they also gave you a pretty cool cliffhanger and a very icky antagonist droid for people who had never really read anything before. So it was, I thought, well played more than anything, that particular story.
Weirdly enough, I'm the opposite with this.
Okay, go on.
Because So the character that dies at the start.
We can say it's Judge Hershey. She's been dying for years.
True. But I don't know that because I haven't read that much 2000 AD.
Okay.
So for me, it was a kind of, I don't know about this. I also felt weird about El Presidente, Pancho.
Right.
It just seemed quite stereotypical that, Pancho, he's got a huge mustache, he's a dictator type. It all seemed quite,
Meh.
just like they'd given us quite a general. The idea was good, robot overlord, big fan, love it. Descender, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, 2000 AD is a lot older than Descender.
True, but in this instance, it just felt a bit generic as a character type. I also felt weird about the fact that they kept referring to El Presidente as it, when it's like, but clearly from his point of view, with his mustache and his fake hair, he's a guy. It just seemed weird. I
think it was... the thing about Judge Dredd is he's not a nice guy. He's right-wing, he's
true.
Vicious, he's completely and utterly unmovable when it comes to his lawful look at life. And he's never been played as a goodie.
Yeah,
and
true.
I think there's an element of using the term "it" as a term of insult. And I think showing an ignorance is important because Judge Dredd was never supposed to be a goodie.
Yeah, okay, fair play. I guess I wasn't looking at it from that point of view.
But then again,
I see you.
But that's important because I like Judge Dredd. I've read a lot of Judge Dredd, and you haven't. So it's interesting. So did you get nothing from Hershey's death? Did you just feel it like, who's this? Oh, I don't care. Or was it like a...
It wasn't so much not caring as just feeling underinformed. And obviously in 6 pages, there's not a lot you can hit on.
No.
I mean, I know bits of Judge Dredd. I've read some. I can't remember what I've read, but I've read bits.
Probably read America, maybe?
Yeah, I think you made me read America.
I think I've made you read America.
Many moons ago.
That's great. Some of the best Judge Dredd. But that wasn't actually from 2000 AD. That was from the Judge Dredd magazine.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting that we didn't agree on the Judge Dredd. Should we have a look at the next one?
Yeah, by all means.
Hope Under Fire.
Hope Under Fire.
I liked how they had a colour story, a black and white story, a colour story, and a black and white story. And it felt right that the stories they'd picked for black and white felt right in black and white. I wouldn't want to read The Walking Dead in colour, for example.
Yeah, you need... The impact's more when it's not focused on... Like The Walking Dead is focused on... It takes away the focus from gore and takes it towards like the storytelling.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I thought Hope suited being in black and white, but some of the others I felt could have benefited from some colour.
Okay.
This is going to be a lot of us disagreeing on.
That may be.
Some details. We'll see. We'll get there.
This was the first particularly gruesome moment in Hope Under Fire. And then it was basically gruesome across the board when it came to this issue. There was a lot of more graphic violence than I was expecting because 2000 AD was always a comic for kids in Britain. And
but not anymore.
Well, I like it. And I think I think their readership is probably aging as well. And... yeah, I really like this. I thought the setting was great. I liked the usage of font. And, the first page was, this is what we're doing with this book.
Yeah. It was an interesting one. I'm not big on war stories normally.
Normally.
Having bits of that in there is kind of, I guess, kind of subverting what I expected from a war story. And the weird thing about thought bubbles was interesting, but... weird.
Yeah.
I think is the only way to put it, really. I don't know how to talk about it without it being like, it's weird.
Should we talk about Brink?
Yeah, let's talk about Brink.
They censored the swearing.
They did, but they made it funny.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. It was a clever gag.
Yeah, as a recurring gag as well.
Yeah. But the story was fun. The artwork was not for me, but it didn't really... It wasn't to its detriment. I just wasn't blown away with it like I was in Hope Under Fire.
See, I quite liked this.
For goodness sake.
It felt almost more like a image sci-fi book in some ways. I don't know if that was Eric Henderson style artwork
maybe.
for it. I can't remember the name of the artist, which I feel bad about. But it was very similar to that, like, Squirrel Girl artwork. And I know you're not a Squirrel Girl fan.
I'm not a Squirrel Girl fan.
This was, I've written down who wrote it. This was Dan Abnett, so he's done many years of 2000 AD and doing sci-fi books.
Dan Abnett's written everything.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be bitchy, but I am going to be bitchy.
About Abnett? Or?
No, about the term Jesus not getting a fine, and also religion isn't gone in the late 21st century. I try not to be like this, but I'm humanist, and I just don't believe that by the end of the 21st century, religion will either be completely gone or completely rule the world. I didn't feel that
there'd be middle ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Which is the only thing I would say about the book that didn't ring well with me. Should we talk about Future Shocks?
Yes, Future Shocks.
So Future Shocks, if you didn't know, is very old school 2000 AD. It was originally created by Alan Moore, and the whole point of it was that a Future Shock was a short story in graphic form, and it didn't continue. It was always a self-contained little story each issue. And I was like, oh, they got Alan Moore. Oh, they haven't got Alan Moore. But it was still very good. I enjoyed the twist. I liked their bravery on talking about slavery. I thought it was good.
Yeah, really good. This was actually the one that I thought, with it being kind of sci-fi, could have benefited from some colour rather than being black and white.
Maybe, yeah.
But I did really like this one. I think this and Brink were more of what I was expecting from 2000 AD, more of the future sci-fi, stuff like that. There are words written here. Let me have a look at them. Thought the swerve was quite good for the ending, the twist.
That's very much the idea with Future Shocks, though. It's supposed to be like that, and so it was a nice little homage to lots and lots of old Future Shocks. Yeah,
I can see that. I know the whole premise of Future Shocks, as you've explained it, and pretty solid story, pretty concise. It was one of the stories in this that I read and thought, what you've done here in 6 pages is something that Image would have stretched out for like 4 volumes.
It was definitely very concise, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I like Future Shocks, I always have done, and I was pleased that this was good, even without Alan Moore.
Yeah. You can't always have Alan Moore.
No. He's retired.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Should we talk about George Anderson?
George Anderson. Side Division.
I loved this cynical little self-contained story. And
it's the longest story in the book.
Yeah. It was grim. It was satirical. It kind of like poked fun at modern life with science fiction. It was what I would call proper 2000 AD. Full-on 2000 AD. I think,
so throughout reading 2000 AD, I did have to refer back to the kind of intro page every now and again. You know, it confused with the synopsis. And I think as soon as I read the words Judge Death the movie,
it was great.
It was kind of I'm pretty sure I know where this is going to go as a story. So I don't think it was the most unpredictable ride.
No.
But it worked.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And it was good.
One thing I'd also like to point out is, previously when I've read Judge Anderson, I haven't really played with 2000 AD very much recently, but when I've read Judge Anderson, she's been a lot more attractive. And I think this is great. I think that making her less attractive, but brilliant at her job, is probably a better take on Judge Anderson and makes her more, for someone who's got psi powers, it almost makes her more real. I really liked the fact that it's a brave move. Kind of, most comic books will kind of make their characters more attractive over time. They'll emphasise the boobs, or you know what I mean.
Don't get me wrong, there was still some of that in here.
There was, but her face was drawn a lot more plain than she perhaps has been in the past. And I thought that was brave. I thought that was brilliant. Or maybe that's just me overthinking stuff.
I get where you're coming from. Overall, I wasn't a huge fan of the art here. It felt quite 90s, which not always a bad thing. Art. I know you do. Yeah. But yeah, good, weird little self-contained story.
Yeah.
Good swerve, and calling the actor Jim Scary.
Yeah. Again, classic 2000 AD.
Big fan of that.
Let's talk about Defoe.
Ah, yes. Defoe.
Oh my goodness, full page spread. And again, that's another one that I thought this really did benefit from black and white. Are you going to tell me otherwise?
I just struggled with this from start to finish, I'm not going to lie to you.
So did I.
Okay, good. Cool.
I thought the concept was brilliant. The way it was told
was weird.
I thought this was the weakest of the 8.
It almost felt like 3 different bits of story kind of with huge chunks chopped out from between them.
Mm.
So things were happening and it was very much just moving on.
Yeah.
This was the one where I consulted the kind of intro bit a couple of
The
times.
most.
And was like, just kept reading it thinking, no, I still don't understand. Yeah, just a weird... The art was good, but weird. Just weird storytelling. Quite choppy.
Yeah.
For
I didn't get on with
word.
it either.
I thought it was weird at the end that it was just like, Defoe zombies, am I right? It's like, yeah, Bedlam. It's just...
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Weird feelings about that one.
Shall we move on to Sinister Dexter?
Yes, let's do that.
So, the word funt as a swear word. Again,
you know exactly what it's getting at.
Well, that's the thing. It's what's worse, the word funt clearly being the obvious choice of word, or the censoring. It really stuck out. And drock is a term that Judge Dredd has always used, which again means the same word. And you've got Lobo who uses bastiche. And I know Lobo's DC, but what I'm getting at, I just think in comics, it's silly. Everyone knows what you mean. Even the youngest of readers knows what you mean. And I get why you have to do it, but it's always I've always felt it's a bit hokey.
I can get where you're coming from. I have a weird love of it from Guardians of the Galaxy on and off. They use flark. I love flark.
Flark. It just means that word.
Flark is so dumb, but it's kind of great, you know?
Yeah.
Every now and again I like the awkwardness of it all. That's just
it made me smile. It did make me smile because it's done so much. And I don't know, I guess if you want kids to read and you can get away with it, then fine. But
Don't you like knowing that some poor sci-fi writer is sat in a room trying to come up with an alternative swear word? And I think that's interesting here. So this and Brink are both Dan Abnett.
Right.
So we get both sides of it here. We get his made-up swearing and his censored swearing.
Oh, I hadn't clocked that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
So
I think Dan has obviously decided that he's going to be doing lols with swearing for this issue. Good for him.
Got to do what you got to do, you know?
I felt about this story that it was quite low-key and an interesting intro, but then made it quite obvious that something big is coming.
Yeah.
And that's a nice way to deal with only having 6 pages.
Yeah, it was quite a understated cliffhanger, I guess. It's kind of just, and this is the end of this bit, and we're moving on. Which, yeah, quite intrigued by the concept. I think this is one of the ones I was edged towards, like, I do want to know more.
Right.
And I think it's at this point I'm like, okay, I get this. So it's 6 pages, and you know, obviously for some stories you're gonna be like, I need to know more, and others you're gonna not care that much, which is the nature of, I guess, all anthologies as well. Within comics, within any anthology.
And that's the thing. This is a weekly anthology, isn't it?
So next week I could find out more about Sinister Dexter.
That's kind of the idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
And finally, we've got Dead World.
We do have Dead World.
Are you aware of what Dead World is?
Only based on a paragraph worth of intro.
Yeah, there's a gigantic amount of 2000 AD lore involved in Dead World.
And I felt that.
Yeah. And so I have a feeling you're not going to like it. So very, very quickly, Judge Death is one of the very worst
of Death World.
Evil guys that Judge Dredd's ever encountered. And completely iconic, massively cultish.
What's always thrown me about Judge Death is when I was in secondary school, there was a Judge Death collection in the school library. And I'm still trying to figure out how and why. Because that's so weird.
Yeah. But he's very iconic, bad guy-wise. But there's huge amounts of... The judges went crazy in Dead World and killed it.
As you do.
In a nutshell.
Okay.
And then they came to Judge Dredd's world to do the same to theirs. So it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, alternative reality,
which I do like,
sci-fi stuff. And I think this is fascinating for people who are fans of 2000 AD. I think looking at where Judge Death came from and how it became the world that he destroyed is fascinating.
Okay, yeah,
but I do think there's an element of isolating people who don't know the lore.
It was, yeah, I mean, it was a decent little chapter.
Yeah.
And a very little chapter it was.
It was bleak and grim and dirty, which is perfect for Dead World.
But I do feel like without that little intro, I would have been pretty clueless for this one.
Right.
With
and how did that feel? Did that ruin the story for you? Or?
I mean, I went along with it, but it's kind of thing where I feel like more knowledge would have helped me with this one.
Right.
I made a note as well that the art style was very similar to, like, you know, Renato Gaius, who did, well, he's still doing Psylords at Valiant, which I think, did we review or did you review?
I've definitely reviewed it on Geek of the Week.
But quite similar art.
Right.
I thought.
I felt that the art would
really
work
realistic
for the vibe of the story and the vibe of Dead World.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Kind of graphic and just worked. Yeah.
Geeky. Yeah.
Mm.
But looking at this list now, over a third of it was quite Judge Dredd lore heavy. And
Side Division, Dead World.
So I was
Judge
coming
Dredd
into
itself
it as a fan who had lapsed and never really read 2000 AD. And I liked the Judge Dredd lore heavy stuff, the Anderson stuff, the Dead World stuff, Hershey dying. But I think you can't win with a jump-on issue completely.
Yeah, of course.
And I wonder, is the balance about right? What do you think?
I think it's a weird one. I think I've never read 2000 AD as the magazine. I've read bits of collections and stuff. So I think for jump-on points, I'm kind of used to that Marvel approach to jumping on points where everything's like, this is Spider-Man, and obviously you know that, but we're going to write this first issue as if you've no idea who Spider-Man is.
Right.
So I guess I was coming to it with more of that kind of expectation.
I think you got that with perhaps Hope Under Fire and Brink, Defoe and Sinister Dexter, but you didn't with the old
the Judge Dredd stuff felt more,
stuff.
But you guys already know this. And I guess that's the divide of, obviously, it's half for new readers and half for lapsed existing readers.
Yeah.
So
I think they got the balance as good as they were going to get it.
Yeah, I think so. I liked Brink, I liked Hope, I liked Sinister Dexter, probably the most of. So
right. So which was your favourite?
Maybe Brink.
Okay. Mine was Judge Anderson.
Yeah, I can say
I liked that
kind
story
of
a lot.
Finished product.
But I'm a massive fan of Judge Death, and I loved the satire of it. But if I had to pick one that was a new story, it was Hope Under Fire that I liked the most.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, fair.
Mm.
I guess we were always going to come out of this one with quite different favourites, I think. But I think we could give this to 8 different people, and we'd come out with 8 different answers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I didn't feel like there was anything that was noticeably poor.
No,
I thought everything the art was great. I thought everything was. Brevity is definitely a thing for 2000 AD. They tell a lot in not very much time.
But I do think there are occasions where it would have been nice to get a little bit more from some of the stories.
Mm.
But I guess, I don't know, it's a weird one.
Do you know how you can do that? Read the next issue.
The next one, yeah. I should have seen that. I walked right into it. But you know what I mean? Even if every story had been 10 pages, that would still only be an 80-page issue.
Yeah.
Which, for a $5, as you might have mentioned.
Mm. So, Zach, 2000 AD, pull or pass?
I think I'm going to go pass, but I will gladly borrow it from you.
Yeah, and you might read some of the trades.
Yeah, I think this is one where I would definitely go for some of the trades for it.
Do you feel like you were pleasantly surprised by what you got, or what it was similar to what you were expecting, or how do you feel it was compared to what your expectations?
I think my expectations were a little bit met and a little bit. Like I say, I was expecting more of a, hey, this is an intro to things, which wasn't overly there. A lot of it was just, here, have this, it's happening. Right. So I guess my expectations were perhaps not what they should have been, but then, like I say, coming at this from a Marvel jumping on point of view. But yeah, I think the intro page was helpful, and like I said, I did consult that on occasion.
For me, it's a surprise pull. I was expecting... I don't know what I was expecting, because I didn't get on with the last jumping on point.
Yeah.
But I really liked... it felt like it was aimed at me this time, and that's just luck. But
yeah, of course.
I'm going to read it for a while. I'm going to add it to my pull, because I genuinely enjoyed the stories, and £3 a week isn't that much, really.
It's not too bad, and it is available in a lot of places.
And it reminded me how much I love Judge Dredd, and I've got some Judge Death that I'm going to be reading in the Dead World series. And I really did enjoy it, and I'm really pleased I enjoyed it, because I went into it thinking, I'm not going to enjoy this, I'm going to be really sad, and I did. So I'm really pleased.
Which is one of the things I thought about this is, if you have read some collections from 2000 AD and you were looking to get into it again, I can see this totally being exactly what you want. And evidently it was.
Yeah, it really was.
Good to know.
Do you have any honourable mentions of books that you wanted to read for this week, but we didn't? We just had to cut them.
So I was interested in reading Bloodshot.
Me too. That was one of mine.
It's a weird. Jeff Lemire did Bloodshot a couple of years ago. He did Bloodshot Reborn, Bloodshot USA, and then Bloodshot Salvation, which has been which is just a solid run. But kind of the series that came after that wasn't great. It kind of obviously didn't have such a solid idea. Like Lemire wrote it for like 3 years, so he clearly had a plan.
Is like the best, though.
Yeah. So I guess the series in between that came after that, but before the one that started this week, was a little bit hit and miss. So I'm kind of intrigued about if this is going to be Lemire Bloodshot or...
I never read Bloodshot. I've never read Bloodshot. I read the Free Comic Book Day Bloodshot and enjoyed it. So that's simply the reason why I wanted to try this new run of Bloodshot.
This seems like it's going to be more action, whereas
Lemire
kind of went heavy on but who is Bloodshot and what's he like as a person, which kind of appealed to me. I mean, Lemire's done a lot of good character work, so him kind of building the character of Bloodshot up was really interesting to read.
The only other one I had was Strike Force, and I will probably buy that as well, because
Blade and Spider-Woman and
basically,
all characters that I like.
Yep, absolutely.
Strike Force, I'm interested in. I've been reading Aaron's Avengers, or Jason Aaron's Avengers, which has been really good, and I think all the things that are kind of tying into that. So that's had Blade in it and vampires lately. Like Blade, I like vampires. I've kind of... When I first got into comics, I was really into Blade, Michael Morbius, all these classic kind of over-the-top 90s characters, Ghost Rider, stuff like that. I kind of lapsed on all of that, but now, in my late 20s, I've kind of come back around to, actually, all these things are great still.
Yeah, they are.
So, all about the Blade.
Brilliant. So next week on Pull or Pass, we've got 3 choices for you. We're going to do Ghost Rider by Marvel, Dead Eyes by Image, and Ruby Falls by Dark Horse.
Yeah, which I'm quite looking forward to all 3 of.
I'm more looking forward to the 2 indies, because I've had an odd relationship with Ghost Rider.
I've already plugged that like Ghost Rider a few seconds ago.
I know, but we will see. And my pull list is already ridiculous, so I'm going to try and be a bit more cautious with what I pull.
Yeah, fair.
He says.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, but we'll see.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week on Pull or Pass. We've pulled, we've passed. We're going to do it again next week. We hope to see you then.